So let's start ahead with the functions in PHP. So today we'll be covering out the introduction to functions, advantages of functions, creation of user-defined functions, function arguments, in which we'll be talking about the call by value, which is a default method in PHP, then the call by reference, default argument values, variable length argument list. So that all part we'll be covering out in function arguments. Then we'll be talking about the returning value and recursive functions. Let's start with PHP function. So PHP function is a piece of code that can be reused multiple times. Suppose we have a code, it's a very big code, and we want to reuse that particular piece of code multiple times in a PHP program. So instead of writing that particular huge code multiple times, we put that particular code in a function and we used to call that particular function the place where we want that code to be put over. Suppose you are having a PHP program and here you want to write a complete code. Say this code is approximately of 10,000 lines. This code is 10,000 lines code, and this all complete code is there. And then you are having a different certain lines, and then this same code is being, you want to have the same code over here as well. After writing the same code, again you are having certain few different conditions, and then you want the same code to be used over here as well. So what happens over here in this case, if this code is having say 10,000 instructions or 10,000 statements, then this 10,000 statements, that all will be written in your program for 3 times. Here also and here also, along with other statements which are over here and here. So in a nutshell, this complete program will be more than 30,000 statements, because your 30,000 will be this plus this plus this, along with this plus these, even more. Whereas if you put all these statements in one function, say sum function, we are having round brackets start and end at the end of that particular function that defines that this is a function name. Always remember, it can be in capital, it can be in small, but it must have the starting and the ending brackets at the end of the name. That means this is the name of the function. So if we put all these statements into the function, and instead of rewriting the statements again over here, we call this particular function over here as well. We call this particular function over here as well, and we call this particular function over here as well. So if we conclude with the help of functions, what happens is we define the particular function once, like we define the particular function over here. In these parentheses, we write all the code that is we are writing over here. So all this code will be written on this parentheses. So this code is, all this code will consist of say 10,000 statements. And then we are writing certain different codes. What we have written over here, the same gets copied over here. But next time for 10,000 statements, we will not be writing all the statements again. We will be simply calling that particular function. And then we are having the same set of statements. And then again for the 10,000 statements, we will be using the function call. So how to call a function? Using the name of the function. So if we now compute, we are having 10,000 statements over here. We are having few statements over here. Then we are having a function call. Then we are having functions, few of the statements over here. And then again, we are having a function call. So this program will be having less number of statements and it is not having more number of statements. So if you traverse this program and you want to understand how this program is being written, it is easier to understand because you will be able to understand what this function is doing from the function definition over here, and the same logic will be applied here and here as well. Else you will keep on checking these 10,000 statements. So what all is doing. And then after checking these all 10,000 statements, you come to know that these are the same statement as these are. Because sometimes in the company, when you join the company, you are given a program or a code that is being compiled or written by someone else who is not a member in the company now. So how you will be understanding the program? So they follow certain protocol, they follow certain standards. So that's why the functions are used. For the biggest advantage is the code reusability. Where we want to reuse the code, we use the function over there. PHP function, it's a piece of code that can be reused many times. It can take input as argument list and return value. So we have some of the arguments, we say the parameters which we pass to the functions. It can be without the arguments, it can be with the arguments as well. And the function can return a value as well. It cannot return a value. There can be possibilities where the function is not returning any value. So there are thousands of inbuilt functions in PHP. We have two types of functions in PHP. The first is inbuilt functions, which are there when we install the particular PHP program. PHP info is a built-in function which is included in PHP. Print underscore R, it's also a built-in function. Whereas user-defined functions, the second type is user-defined functions. User-defined functions are those functions which the user has defined. Like in this program, this sum function, this is not an inbuilt function. I have given a name. You can give any name, sum1, sum2, sum3, sum4, or the sum, or your name as well. Those are all the user-defined functions. Then besides the built-in functions, we can create our own functions. A function will not execute immediately when a page loads. A function will execute by the call to the function. So you need to give a call to the particular function. Then only the function will get activated and it is effective. So in PHP, we can define conditional function, function within function, and a recursive function also. So we are having built-in function, user-defined function, conditional function, function within function, and recursive functions. PHP supports all these. So let's discuss each of them one by one. So advantages of PHP functions. The bigger advantage is the code reusability, as I have explained you just now. The PHP functions are defined only once and can be invoked many times, like in other programming languages. You need to define a function only once, and you can call the function at any time. Multiple places you can call that particular single function. Then less code. It saves a lot of code because you do not need to write the logic many times. Put your logic all in a one function, call that particular function at multiple times, and your code will be reduced. By the use of function, you can write the logic only once and reuse it. You write your all logic inside a function and call that particular function. You can reuse that particular function multiple times. So easy to understand. PHP function separate the programming logic. So it is easy to understand the flow of the application because every logic is divided in the form of functions. So if you are dealing with the mobile applications, you want to go back or you want to go forward or you want to have some functionality, you are having a function of that particular thing. So for each and every activity, you are having different functions. So it makes you to easy to understand the code, easy to do the programming. That is the advantages of PHP functions. Creation of user-defined function in PHP. So how you can create your own PHP functions. So the keyword used is function followed by the name of the function. So how you define, how you declare the user-defined function, it is declared with the starting word must be function. So function space function name. Function name can be any name, your name also, some also, someone also, and so on. And then followed by round bracket start and close. Immediately no space is there. And then parentheses is there and code to be executed. Whatever the code you want to execute, put that particular code inside this function and your business logic will come over here. So this function declaration is being completed up. So this is the function declaration. When you call a function, what that particular function will do. So this is what is being written over here. So function name, it must start with a letter and underscore only, like other labels in PHP. The function name, it cannot start with numbers or special characters. Always remember, it do not start with number or the special characters. So for example, we have the function say hello. And what is the function declaration? It says echo hello PHP function. So hello PHP function is there, and then outside this function declaration in the main program, we say hello function, say hello. So this is a function call that is being given to that particular function. So this is the function declaration where we have the word keyword as function. This is the name of the function, which is a user defined function. And these are the parentheses where we write the body of the function. And this is complete the business logic, what this function is doing. And how to call a function? Simply by the function name followed by semicolon. That will be the function call. So this name must be same as the function name mentioned over here. So that will be the function call. So here all this logic will get executed. And echo statement, it displays whatever is mentioned in the screen onto the console output. So you get the output as the hello PHP function. Then moving ahead, we have the function arguments. So we can pass the information in PHP function through arguments, which is separated by comma. So PHP supports four things: call by value, which is default in PHP, then call by reference, default argument values, and variable length argument list. So let's talk each one by one. So first is default argument value. So we can specify a default argument value in function while calling PHP function. If you do not specify any argument, it will take the default argument. So if we call the function set height without arguments, it takes the default value as argument. So what it says is we are having a function set height and you can check it out. So this is the function keyword. So this is the name of the function. But here in round brackets, it's not empty. We are passing the argument of minimum height and we are initializing the height as 50. So this is the function body. And inside the body, we are having the echo statement. Echo, the height is, and we are displaying the value of the variable using a br tag, the break. And in outside the program, we call this function and we pass the value as 350. So 350 value is being passed and minimum height will be initialized not to 50 but to 350. The output is height is 350. The second time when this function is being called, we are not having any value over here. We are not passing any value. So we are calling this particular function since it is having minimum height equal to 50. We have been defined over there. So in this case, the default value will be called. So this is the default value, minimum height equal to 50. So this value will be called and in the output we get height is 50. Third time again when the function is called, 135 is being passed to the minimum height. Now this time what happens? This default value will not be activated because the value of 135 is being declared by the user. The minimum height will be initialized to 135 and echo statement will display the result as the height is 135. So you will be getting the output as height is 135. Then when the next function is being called set height 80, the same thing 80 will be passed to the minimum height value and this 50 will not be initialized. 80 will be assigned to this minimum height and the echo statement will display the output as height is 80. So this is the use of default arguments that if you do not assign any value, if the user, if you are having some form and you are not assigning a particular value, or if any of the user misses that particular value, you have a default value set at the backend so that your database must not be corrupted. Because your database, if you have applied a constraint that null of all of the values cannot be empty and user have not entered any one or two values, then your database will give you an error and it will not allow the user to save the record. In that case, you can use the default arguments. Example 2, we are having function greetings. First name equals to Nitin, last name is Arora. Echo greetings, first, dollar last. If the greeting is called, the output is Nitin Arora. And if you are passing out the value as Rahul, so this, when you call the function without any arguments, it will call this function. The value of first name is Nitin and the last name is Arora. So it will display greeting. First name and last means Nitin and Arora. So you will be getting the output as greeting first Arora and Nitin and Arora. Now the second time when you have passed a function with Rahul. So Rahul is being passed, which replaces this Nitin with Rahul. And you have not passed the last name, so it will display the last name as Arora, and in the output you will be getting greeting Rahul Arora. Third time you have passed first name also, you have passed last name as well. So these both names will be passed to this greeting, and you will be getting the first name and the last name values as Michael Clark. So in the output you will be getting greeting Michael Clark. So that is what has been discussed in this program. So these are the default arguments. Then we have the call by value. PHP allows you to call function by value and reference both. In case of PHP call by value, actual value is not modified. It is modified inside a function. What it means is if you have a call by value means like this is the function declaration, and in this you have the value of str equals to hello. So hello is being assigned to str, and you are passing a adder function, adder and the str. What does this adder do? Adder will concatenate these two strings. When you are displaying that particular string. So adder str value is hello. So hello is being passed over here, and it says str dot equals to call by value. Str dot equal to call by value and display the screen. So it is hello call by value. Then the output is being displayed over here. Then the function is closed. Control comes back to this and echo str. Str is outside the function scope. So value of str is hello. So hello will be displayed over here, and in the output we get the output as hello. Then in this example, variable str is passed to the adder function where it is concatenated by call by value string, but printing str variable results hello only. This is because changes are done in local variable $str2 only. It does not reflect to the str variable. Then call by reference. The value passed to the function does not modify the actual value by default. By default, the values in PHP are passed by value, not by the reference. But we can do so by passing value as a reference as well. So by default, value passed to the function is called by value. To pass value as a reference, you need to use ampersand symbol before the argument name. So to use the ampersand symbol before the argument name, then it is called by reference. If you do not use ampersand name, that is called by value. So by default in PHP, it is called by value itself. Let's check it an example. So in the example, it says this is the function. Function adder is there, and we have used the ampersand sign over here, means we are passing the value as reference, not by the call by value. And the same program str equals to hello. Here we have used adder ampersand str. Mean this time we are passing the value by call by reference and not by call by value. So the value is being there, then str dot equal to call by reference. So we get the value as hello call by reference as the output because echo statement is there. And then when this code is being finished, the control comes back to the echo str. It displays again hello call by reference. Why it is so? Because now this str is pointing to the same str over here. And since we have used ampersand, it is call by reference, and call by reference is pointing to the same memory location where the complete string is being stored. Because here the string has been modified at the memory location, not as a local variable. Concatenation is done. So that's why we are getting the complete string as an output everywhere inside the program. So this is called by reference. Then variable length argument function, the fourth type. PHP supports variable length argument function. It means you can pass 0, 1 or 2 so on to n number of arguments in a function. To do so, you need to use three dots. Three dots, we used to say 3 ellipses before the argument name. The 3 dot concept, it is implemented for a variable length argument since PHP 5.6 and above. So since PHP 5 version 5.6, till today, these three ellipses concept, which is known as the variable length argument function, is being implemented. Then example to this is the function add is there, and here we are using three ellipses. That is this one. So three dots followed by the variable name, that is dollar numbers, and this is the function declaration. Here we use $sum equal to 0 for each. The loop is there which is used, and it picks the one by one element, dollar numbers as $n, and then $sum plus equals to $n, and it returns the $sum. So what the function do? Echo add 1, 2, 3, 4. So whatever the result of this function will be, that result will be displayed by the echo to the output screen. The two functions are being carried out over here. So 1, 2, 3, 4 will pass one by one the numbers over here, and sum will be initialized to 0 for each numbers as $n. So whatever the number is being there, one by one that number is being added out in sum, and if we compute 4 plus 3 plus 2 plus 1 will be the output of this program, which is equivalent to 10. So this way it works, the three ellipses, the dots. Then returning value. To let a function return a value, use the return statement. So PHP includes a return value as well. So what is the return statement? So if you check out the program, this is the function declaration till here. So this is the function declaration, and at the end of the declaration, or you can use the return statement where you can return any value or any string. So in this program, echo cube of 3 is cube 3. So cube 3 is being the cube is the function name, and 3 is passed as an argument. So it calls the declaration. So n value will be 3, and this n is being used over here. So what is the value being returned? 3 multiplied by 3 multiplied by 3. So that will be the output will be cube of 3 is, which will be displayed as it is from here, and cube 3 will point to the value 27 that is being returned by the function. So this is a return statement where you return the values to the function in PHP. So PHP also supports a recursive function call like C, C++. So recursive function, the function is? In such a case, we call current function within function. So what is the recursive function? As per the definition, the recursive function is a function within a function, but the function gives a call to the current function itself. So it is recommended to avoid a recursive function call over to 200 recursion level. Why it is so? Because it may smash the stack and may cause the termination of script. So that is being avoided. But recursion is a very useful part when you are dealing with the programs like factorial of a number, like 5. 1 minus, again the same function will be called. 4 minus, again the same number will be called. 3 minus, again the number will be called. So if you compute a factorial of 5, so that will be 5 multiplied by 4 multiplied by 3 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 1. So in this way, the function will keep on calling itself within a function. That is known as the recursion, and that such type of function is known as recursive functions. But we avoid doing so, and if we want to do, we keep on doing it, but we will not be making a calls more than 20 recursive levels, because if the calls are so much high, then there will be need of so much buffer to store that particular values. like 5 multiplied by a function calls again. So it computes 4, 1 minus again the function will be there. So 1 minus again the function will be there. So 1 minus again the function will be there. So at the end we'll be getting 1, and then that value will be placed over to the previous function. We will be getting 2. That value is placed between the previous function. We will be getting 3. That value is being placed to the again the previous function. We will be getting 4, and that value finally placed inside the function. That value gets 5. So then the compiler understands that 5 multiplied by 4 multiplied by 3 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 1 gives out the result as 120. So that's why the stack, the buffer where the computations are being stored, if that recursion level exceeds 200, then a huge stack is required to execute it out. So that is why it is recommended, but if you want, you can definitely proceed ahead with the same. So let's have an example on this. So here we are having a program of factorial. So this is the function declaration part, and we are echo, and we are calling, giving a function call. This is the function call, and 5 is being passed. So what happened is 5 is being replaced with the value of n. The function call is there. So function, then the factorial 5. Then value is 5. If n is less than 0, so here we are having the value of n as 5. So 5 is less than 0, return -1. Since 5 is greater than 0, so this will not execute for the first step. Then it checks out if n equals to 0, which is also not true for this condition. Then the control executes to the return statement, and what it do? Return n value is 5. 5 multiplied by factorial of n minus 1. So it will be 5 minus 1. So y minus 1 will be 4. And again, this particular method, it calls itself, and this time the value of n will be 4. Then again, this value is being checked over here. Instead of 5, now the value of n is 4. So 4 less than 0, false. It goes next. 4 equivalent to 0, no. Then it again comes to be the return method. And this time it is 4 multiplied by the factorial, and here 4 minus 1. And this 4 minus 1 again calls this particular method, and now instead it is 4, it is 3, because 4 minus 1 is there, and so n value is 3. And now again this particular loop will be executed. 3 is less than 0. 3 is less than 0, which is false. If checked n equivalent to 0, 3 equivalent to 0, again false. So it returns over here, and this time 3 multiplied by factorial of n minus 1. That will be 3 minus 1. That will be 2. So again this method is being called with the n value as 2. This time n value is 2. Since the n value is 2, all the condition will be executed for 2. 2 less than 0, false. 2 equivalent to 0, false. So it comes out to be return, and return it will be 2 multiplied by factorial of 2 minus 1 this time. 2 minus 1 is 1. So again this function is being called, and this time the n value is 1. So 1 is less than 0, false. So it will not execute. And this time n equivalent to 0, again 1 equivalent to 0, no. Again it comes to the return. So 1 multiplied by now factorial of 1 minus 1. that will be 0. So again it calls the same function, and but this time the value of n is 0. Here it checks whether n is less than 0. No, false, because n value is 0. 0 equivalent to 0 is there, but 0 is not less than 0. And when it comes over here, this time it checks 0 equivalent to 0 because n value is 0. So it is true. So it moves on to over here and it says return 1. So return 1 will give this one value, and this value is being replaced over here. So this value is being 1. Then this is computed. 1 multiplied 1 will give you the output as 1. Now this 1 is replaced where this function is called over here, 2 minus 1. So this multiplication with the 1 will give 2 as the output. 2 multiplied by 1 will give us 2. So this 2 will be replaced over here. So 3 multiplied by 2 will give the output as 6. This 6 will be replaced over here, 4 minus 1, and then 4 multiplied by 6 will give 24, and this 24 multiplied by will be replaced over here. So it is 5 multiplied by 24, which gives 120 as the answer. So this 120, that will be placed over this return statement, and this return statement will return 120 over here, which where this method was called, where this function was called. And since we are having echo statement, echo 120, it will display the output as 120. So in the screen, we get the output as 120. The function name is factorial. That current function is calling the function itself. You can see the couple of times the calls are being given. These are all the calls. The factorial method, the factorial function is calling itself. How you can say itself? Because this is the function definition, and you are inside that particular definition, and you are again calling this particular function again from inside. So such type of functions are the recursive functions or the recursion. The process is known as recursion. Example of recursive function. So that's all what we covered in functions, and these are the content that we have covered in today's session. So this is all about PHP functions.